The Pennsylvania State Climate Office is housed in the Penn State Department of Meteorology and Atmospheric Science, and we like to touch base every now and again with the Pennsylvania State climatologist himself, Kyle Imhoff. Welcome back to Weather World, Kyle.
Good to be here, Rob.
Yeah, so whenever we've had you on the show in previous visits, you've talked about the Keystone Mesonet. Can you give us an update on where things stand with some of those Mesonet sites, what it is, and the importance of this product?
Yeah, we made a lot of good progress over the past 6 to 8 months. So since last fall, we've installed 8 stations. So we're now up to 29 sites total in the network. And they're mainly located across northern and western Pennsylvania, so filling in some of those existing data gaps we had previously. So those are now on the Keystone Mesonet website tool. So we now have all that data available, and we have now the availability to click on, there's a little pie chart button when you click on the PMN sites, and that'll take you to our data viewer page on our Climate Office website. So it's a nice way to interchange between our Keystone Mesonet tool and the Climate Office website. And we also have now a lesson plans button, so we'll probably talk about that here in a minute. So go ahead.
Yeah, excited. I wanted to mention, you back up just a quick second. You said PEMN sites. Can you tell us what that is?
It's the Pennsylvania Environmental Monitoring Network. So that was started as 20 stations that were installed as part of a Sea Grant initiative through Penn State. And then we got an expansion of that through PEMA funding. So that is to revamp their iFlows network. So we'll be up to 50 stations by summer of 2026.
And so with the Keystone Mesonet kind of also comprised of the PEMN sites, some of those are actually located at Penn State Commonwealth campuses. With the potential closure of some of these campuses, are you having to deal with possible relocations of sites?
Yeah, we're in a sit and wait pattern right now. We have to see which campuses will close. We have 5 sites that are at potential closure locations. So once we hear word of what that's going to look like, then we'll have to figure out whether we need to move the station or maybe try to get a new lease agreement with whoever else is going to be there after Penn State would leave if they decide to get rid of the property. So we're dealing with that as we get more information. So that's where we stand.
Going back to what you mentioned about the K through 12 curriculum, this is a new tool available on the Keystone Mesonet site. How can educators use this?
Yeah, so there's a little button now on the top of the Keystone Mesonet tool. So it's an academic cap. So you'll see it there on the top right-hand side. And when you click on that, it's a directory that'll take you to a nice Google Drive folder that'll give you all sorts of information. It's organized by grade band level. So whatever teachers need, whether it's K through 6 for elementary school or middle and high school, they can look at all that information. And there's lesson plans organized by STEEL standards, so that's the Pennsylvania STEM, essentially, standards. So the teachers will be able to see how does this lesson connect to that standard. So it's a really nice resource for them. And it took us about 18 months. We were partnering with teachers at Greencastle Antrim School District, which is one of our sites that we're using for the PMN network. So it was a really great project that we worked on with them, and Dr. Kevin Boley here within our department also helped me with that curriculum development. So it's a really nice resource.
And have you had any feedback from teachers who have been using this?
So we're just getting word out now. So we're starting to get at least teachers at that school district, and then now statewide, we're going to have a Google form that they can fill out to provide feedback of, was this lesson useful? Are there more things that you would like to see? We already have tons of PowerPoint slides and videos, but we'll continue to add to that as we get feedback from teachers.
And remind me again, where can people get that curriculum?
Yeah, it's on the top right-hand side of the Keystone Mesonet site. Look at the academic cap button, click on that, and you'll see everything.
Very cool. So, of course, now we're entering the summer months, and things kind of wind down in terms of student involvement for most of us, but you still got many projects coming down the pipeline.
We do. We focused a lot, so we started in the spring semester, quality control of the Mesonet data. So there's 2 different ways we can quality control the data. One is through a manual process where you're just basically looking through all the data. So I've had students looking through each day for every site. It's kind of a meticulous process to make sure everything looks okay. And that we've worked on for the past several months. But now I have students over the summer, and they just started this recently, but over the summer and into the fall semester, we're going to work on automated techniques for QC. So having computer algorithms do the initial work to flag data, make sure everything looks okay, or if something's suspect, it'll flag it to say, hey, this might need another look. And so then eventually students will just be able to look at that flag data to say, okay, was this something that was anomalous, or was this okay?
Absolutely. And I know during the typical school year, you've got students who are involved with the newsletter. I wanted to give another shout out to that because there's some really great content in your monthly newsletter.
Yeah, we have students working on on that throughout the academic year. And there's great articles. So we have a weather summary, usually 1 or 2 climate highlights that are just features about the weather and climate across Pennsylvania over the past couple of months or the past month. And then we have a long range forecast, which is an experimental analog based forecast over the next 2 months, what the weather is going to look like.
Yeah, another great resource kind of put out by the State Climate Office. You know, one thing I wanted to mention here while I have you on the show tonight, the importance of the regional climate centers. These were recently kind of under threat, potential for some funding cuts. Luckily, that didn't turn out to be the case, but it really did shine a spotlight on just how important they are.
They really are. Not only do they supplement what we do at the state level, but they provide tools and resources that we wouldn't be able to provide at the statewide level. So we don't have the time or the personnel necessarily at the state level to do all the work that they do. So one example of that would be the ACES system, the Applied Climate Information System that the Northeast Regional Climate Center provides for us. So there's all sorts of tools and features that make us or allow us to be able to do what we do on a regular basis. So without that funding and without them, there would be a lot less resources available to every state across the country. We
show a lot of those products here on Weather World, and it really helps kind of add that context on just how extreme a weather event may be, or give some context on, well, you think it's been dry, and turns out it has been dry.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kyle Imhoff, thanks so much for coming in on tonight's show. We really appreciate it, and all the great work you're doing in the Pennsylvania State Climate Office.
Thank you, Rob.
And we'll be back in just a moment with more.